بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده وعلى آله وأصحابه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome back to another session of A Day in the Life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Last week, as a Ramadan special, what we decided to do was start at the chapter which is the final chapter of this book, which brings about the narrations describing the blessed appearance of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his physical appearance, his limbs, his facial features, etc. And I thought, since it's the month of Ramadan, it'll be a nice little treat for us that we focus on a chapter that is very significant. And we started it last week, and we know that based on last week that how particular the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in were when it came to reporting and narrating the finest of details. Like even when it came to the physical appearance of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the minutest details were not left out. So carrying on from this, the next subheading is narrations relating to other features of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Next is the blessed ear of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sayyidina Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam's sense of hearing was very refined. Sayyidina Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam once said to them, I see that which you cannot see, and I hear that which you cannot hear. The skies are creaking, and rightfully so. There is not even a space of 4 fingers in the sky, but an angel is to be found placing his forehead in the prostration of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sayyidina Zayd ibn Haritha radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was once in the orchard of Banu Najjar when his animal suddenly diverted from its course and began behaving strangely. It almost threw Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam off. Suddenly they noticed a few graves situated there. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam inquired if anybody knew about the details of its inmates. A certain person responded that he had information about its inmates. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam inquired about the period of their demise, and he said that they had passed away in the condition of shirk. So here are the few narrations that we have gone through, two narrated by Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu. It's talk about the sensitivity of the hearing of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This may well be as a result of the miracle of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a gift bestowed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like in the last week we came across that when it came to the sight of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said he is also aware of that which is happening behind his back. And sometimes these special qualities and favors and miracles aren't limited to the Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam. We know the famous narration of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, once when he was amongst other Muslims, and suddenly he just shouted out saying, Ya Sari al-Jibal, the famous narration, O Sariya the mountain, O Sariya mountain. Sariya was somewhere in distant lands in an expedition. But what happened, Allah granted Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu firasa, farsightedness, and he was warning him of enemies that were going to flank them from behind. So these sort of miracles are actually blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Certain miracles like this aren't restricted to Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam as well. Pious people often are given such miracles as well. Like in the case of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Sayyidina Zayd ibn Harisa radiallahu ta'ala narrates that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was once we covered this hadith. Further on, he said, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, upon inquiring, upon he was told that the inhabitants of those graves were mushriks, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam then said, this ummah will be punished in their graves. Had I not feared that you would eventually desist from burying the dead, I would have arranged for you to hear the punishment which I hear. So again, this is something that the Prophet ﷺ was able to hear. An average human would not be able to hear the torments of the grave, which is a reality. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from the adhab of the grave. Here's a note. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was able to hear and see what others could not hear and see. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would see the angels in his gatherings, but others could not see them. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would receive revelation and hear it being transmitted, whilst those around him would not even have a clue about what was happening. There were occasions where certain Sahaba heard a sound like the buzzing of a bee, whilst revelation was being transmitted to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala narrates that once Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was passing by two graves, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam informed them that the inmates were being punished. Next, the blessed nose of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sayyidina Hind ibn Abi Hala radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's nose had a slightly high bridge. There was a distinctive nur, spiritual celestial glow, visible upon the nose of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Any person who did not observe its shape carefully would conclude that it was longish, but that was not the case. So, how Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam's nose was described, there's other narrations as well. You'll find that for someone to have a long nose, it can be considered as something that is unattractive, and then some people have a flat nose that can be also considered unattractive as well, imperfection and things like that. So the nose of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was such that it wasn't even flat, it wasn't even completely long, and like the narration described, it had a slight high bridge, so it was sort of lifted as well. And you'll see, you'll naturally understand what sort of nose that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam had. When you get some people, when they look at someone, they say, "Oh, the jawbone is so perfectly aligned," or the nose is perfectly structured. So this is what Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam had. He had a nose that wasn't too long, that it looked did not look nice or appealing, and it wasn't completely flat as well, that which would give the similar unappealing impression. The slightly raised bridge of the nose substantially enhances the beauty of the face. The lower end of the nose curved slightly inwards, which is necessary in order to ensure that the nostrils are not overly exposed, as this is considered an unsightly trait. Similarly, a thinner nose is more appealing than a broad, flat nose. The blessed eyebrows and eyelashes of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whilst describing the blessed features of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Sayyidina Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrated that the eyelashes of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam were long and dense. So, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't have eyelashes that were faint. Sometimes you can see with some people, the eyelashes are so faint that you can't even tell. Sometimes in the case of women as well, they have eyelashes so faint, so then they put those fake ones on so that it becomes more apparent. So in the case of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah created Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam so perfectly that he did not need any sort of cosmetic alterations or anything like that. He was naturally beauty in his own way. Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu also reports the same characteristics about Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam's eyelashes. Allama Munawi rahimahullah ta'ala states that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam had eyelashes that were dense, long, and the hair was fine. Dense and long eyelashes is generally known as a sign of beauty. It enhances the attractiveness of the eye particularly, as well as the face in general. Sparse eyelashes or no eyelashes at all is due to the diseases of the eye, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was immune from any such imperfection. Next, the eyebrows. Sayyidina Hind ibn Abi Hala radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam had dense eyebrows, but they did not join in the center, meaning that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not have a monobrows. Nowadays, monobrows is considered something which is imperfection. You know, somebody has one big whole monobrows here, it looks wrong. So, it looks unnatural. Some people have it, and that's why they shave it. And in that shaving, by the way, fiqhi rule, when a person has a monobrow, in that instance, it is you're allowed to shave that middle part so that it's partitioned. Because some people do all these nowadays. It's sadly, oh my God, we're living in a time like we got even men, you know, shaping eyebrows as well. You know, it's something that naturally women would do, but nowadays men do it, and it's wrong. It's wrong. But where it's permissible for men is upon naturally even for women as well. That if someone has a monobrow, then to partition the two brows, you may shave the middle part. Sayyidina Hind ibn Abi Hala radiallahu anhu reports that there was a vein running between the two eyebrows, which used to swell when Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was angered. Next is the blessed beard of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Sayyidina Hind ibn Abi Hala radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam had a dense beard. Sayyidina Barra ibn Azib radiallahu ta'ala anhuma narrates that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam's beard was very dense. Sayyidina Jubair ibn Mut'im radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam had a long beard. Now, what is meant by dense and long? That Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam's the hair of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was very it wasn't light. There's a certain word that I'm trying to get, it's not coming to my head, but his hair was very thick and it wasn't coarse. Remember, coarse is also considered infection, but he had very live and thick volumed hair. Even on his blessed head, his hair on his head was very thick and full of volume, and the beard hair was also full of was very thick and full of volume as well. Now, naturally, have sometimes when people have hair loss or they might have a lot of hair, but the hair is very thin and lacks volume. It's considered as some sort of imperfection. That's why people, the women and guys nowadays, as well, they use certain shampoos to thicken the volume of the hair and the density of the hair, and they use all these. But to be honest, just a bit of sidetrack, that the natural products are the best. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is what we find in the seerah, that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam used olive oil, but today don't want to use olive oil. Why? Because it's got a stench to it. But it's the natural stuff which is the best stuff, right? You find other natural stuff is argan oil. Again, people that has a very hideous stench, but for years people have been using it. But why in the recent years has it become popular? Is because the Western world has taken it and claimed it, and they add other additives which makes the oil smell more pleasant, and then people start using it now. But it won't have the same effect as natural argan oil or oil that has not been mixed with it. Again, nowadays people use this rosemary oil. None of those oils will be in its pure form. They're always going to mix something to sort of and dilute it so that it's not as strong. So even now, recently, something called batana oil, and there's always going to be something new coming out. But people living now, everyone wants to go vegan, everyone wants to go natural, everyone wants to go, so all these different types of oil. I mean, rosemary oil, probably 10 years ago, no one heard of it. Batana oil, I only heard of it recently, 2-3 months ago, maybe. Now, and people are using castor oil, so many different types of oil. But again, the natural stuff are the best stuff, and we'll see that what Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam used was olive oil. and that if you can find, natural pure virgin oil, olive oil, use that. It might have a smell to it and all that, but if you apply it in advance, that's the best stuff to put on your hair and on your beard, even on your skin as well. These chemicals products that we use today, they have all these additives and things like that. You might see immediate benefit on your skin, but as you start aging, what happens? The skin starts wrinkling and all that. And for reference, try to compare. I mean, those of us whose grandparents are still alive, you'll see that they'll be in the old age, 17, 80s and all that. The skin has still not crinkled yet because they were using natural products, as opposed to somebody else to their age in the Western world who are using all these cosmetics and all that. You'll see same people, the skin are, again, because there's natural products don't have any side effects. Sayyidina Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala narrates that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the beard of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was dark. Sayyidina Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu ta'ala narrates that the hair on the head of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam and the beard was extremely black. So it was, you get sometimes, again, this is even case with people. Some people have their hair looks so black that it's as though one would seem it would seem to someone, that they must have dyed it to make it even darker, because it's more of a darker complexion. It's natural. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam had that natural, similar, complete dark, dense blackness in his beard, in the color of his beard and his hair as well. Obviously, as he aged, there were some strands of grayness in his beard, but those narrations will come later on. The beard of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was dense and long. It concealed his entire upper chest. It was pitch black in color. Now, I don't know if it comes again, we'll repeat it, but if it doesn't come, since I've just come to my mind, I'll mention it. The beard of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how long was it? Now, ulama say the sunnah length, unanimously mentioned, the sunnah length of a beard should be a fist long. So, like for example, here, that's like a fist long here, if you can see. That's what ulama say, that the sunnah beard, anything longer than that would, some ulama say it's against the sunnah. Anything shorter than that, again, will be against sunnah as well. But the sunnah beard of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it was, and again, it's not just long this way and then you completely shave off this complete side, so you just got something coming from your, like a goatee. Rasulullah had a full beard all around. So this is what the sunnah beard is, and that's why we should aim to let the beard grow. That's what is considered as a proper beard. Obviously, some people's beard takes time to grow, things like that. Some people beard doesn't grow properly. That's a whole different thing. But now that it's growing as naturally, we should let our beard grow. It's a sign of manhood as well. I remember, like now, there was a few years ago, people didn't want to grow a beard, and you ask them why, because I won't get married. But now every other guy wants to grow a beard. Why? Because it's become a fashion in the Western world now, because of movies and TV series which have made beard look fashionable, because celebrities are keeping it, or some period-based TV show or movies become popular and these actors are looking cool. Now everyone wants to grow a beard. Not because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam kept a beard. Again, sunnah hair. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam had long hair, sunnah hair. Like it was similar, like the warrior's braid. Warriors used to have long hair and things. There was different levels of his hair. Narration was he had it just under his earlobe. Other narration was just reached his shoulders. Another narration would be like a bit more longer to his shoulders. But those Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam had long hair. Now, when people hear these narrations, they start growing that hair. But now they don't do it because of sunnah, right? They do it because of fashion. And then they'll say, oh, well, I'm doing it for sunnah because Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam did it. But you'll see one of the biggest giveaway is when they keep that so-called sunnah hairstyle, when they're doing it, they're not doing it the correct manner. The person who did it the correct manner will actually be following the sunnah, because when Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam had long hair, his hair was long from all sides, meaning that the sides were long just as equally as the hair on the top. What people do, they want to keep that sunnah hair because it looks cool, right? But then the side hair, it's trimmed, and then they conceal it with the curtain. So that's not sunnah, because then the hair's length is not equal. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam's hair was always equal from every side. So that will be a big giveaway. Further narrations. Jahdam ibn Dahhak rahimahullah ta'ala narrates, asked Adda ibn Khalid radiallahu ta'ala if he had seen Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and he said yes. I asked him to describe Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam to me, and one of the things that he said was that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam had a beautiful, attractive beard. Another thing I wanted to be, now that we let our beard grow, also take care of it as well. There's nothing wrong, nowadays you have, mashallah, beard, people have full-on sunnah beard, but it looks no different to a bush, and looks hideous. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is beautiful, and He loves beauty. We grow beard and it's like, it's all bundled up, like, when people, I don't know, it doesn't happen with the guys, but I'm sure sisters can relate, when they comb the hair and the brush gets a lot of hair and it turns into a bundle. It looks no different to that, and it's like all bushed up and things like that. Beautify it, Don't be vain, overly vain, that spending, putting all these cosmetics on it and things like that every day and spending hours in front of it. No. Daily, once you brushed your, done wudu, woke up in the morning, and then comb your beard, and because sometimes some people have hair that, like for example, in my beard, it also crumbles up, so I have to comb it to get it out all nicely straight. This is part of being a Muslim as well, to look beautiful. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam took care of his beard. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam took care of his hair as well. He had nothing in his possession to keep up with the fashion of his time. Yet he always looked handsome and presentable, right? So this is something that we should learn as well. We shouldn't let our beard grow all bushy and looking hideous, Let that beard, style it up nicely according to sunnah, right? If you need to use a hairdryer, blow a hairdryer and it'll straighten it. If you need to use a straightener, use a straightener. Whatever works for you, use it, but keep your beard looking nice, appealing. This is sunnah. The sunnah is meant to be appealing. If you look at so many, subhanallah, I've seen so many non-Muslims, right? They grow the beard and it's sunnah length beard. And so at that time, I think that if only this person was a Muslim, his face is so handsome because they're adhering to the sunnah, letting it grow. They're not doing it obviously according to sunnah, they're letting it because it looks cool and they want some fashion. And I thought, if only this person would be a Muslim, he'd be a beautiful, handsome Muslim brother. But again, what is missing? The main thing, Iman is not there. They've got the sunnah on their face, but the Iman is not there. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to comb the beard. Sayyidina Anas radiallahu ta'ala narrates that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to apply oil excessively to his beard, and he sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would comb his beard often. Again, why he would put excessive oil to his beard? One, because he had a very thick, volumed hair. So again, you have to apply a lot of oil on his beard so that the beard would get properly moisturized. And number two, obviously, they're living in a hot country as well. The skin and all that naturally would get dry, so the oil was a right amount. Nowadays, we've got all these alternatives, beard cream, beard serum, beard gel, all that. Those are all fine. If you want to use them, there's no prohibition. Again, so long as the ingredients are all that fine as well. There's no problem if you need to use beard serum. Some people use beard serum because they've got very light hair, so it thickens all these other things you can use. But please, by all means, make your beard look good and nice and presentable. Comb it. Now you can use a brush, a normal comb. People have those beard machine, straight hair, straightening machines as well. Whatever you need to use. But look, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he combed his beard regularly, often, and he also oiled it as well. Sayyidina Anas radiallahu ta'ala also narrates that sometimes Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would arrange his beard by applying water to it. That was probably because, like, putting water on it, if you go to barbers as well, what do? They spray your hair to get a bit more moist so that it's easily to comb, because sometimes your beard gets tied up or your hair gets tied up into knots as well. So again, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to do this as well. Sayyidina Jabir ibn Sabr radiallahu ta'ala narrates that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would apply oil and thereafter he would use a comb to arrange his hair. It is sunnah to comb the beard as well. Next, applying perfume to the beard. Sayyidina Salama ibn Aqwa radiallahu ta'ala anhu narrates that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to apply musk perfume to his blessed beard and head. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would also fragrance his, again, if you have attar, or, again, naturally, most attar are oil based. You get some which are water based, but those water based ones are on the best. The fragrance doesn't last. Most attar are oil based, so applying on your beard will be fine. Sometimes it might discolor your beard as well. Sometimes it's seen that putting attar on, it also makes your beard a bit brown. If you like that kind of stuff, then by all means. We'll have 1-2 narrations and we'll end it here as well. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhuma narrates that whenever Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam wanted to apply attar, perfume, to his blessed beard, he Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would initially rub it onto his palms. So he would put the attar, like, no, because obviously attar normally are in roller bowls or you get the stick. So you put it on his blessed hands and then apply it like that onto his beard. To hold the beard in moments of grief and anxiety. Al-Mu'mineen Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha narrates that when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was overcome with anxiety or grief, he Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would clutch onto his beard and hold it. So it would be something like this. It's also even narrated with regards to Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala that when he used to fall into deep thought, he used to, sort of play with his beard like this as well. You see it naturally. Some people when they're thinking, when people, you do this as well, and people when they think. So when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was stressing over something, like whatever it may have been, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would grasp his beard in moments of grief and anxiety or sadness, and he'd probably just hold it like this. So it's just describing further traits of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam relating to the beard. We'll leave it here, inshallah. Any questions before?